At least 80 people facing charges after a massive nightclub raid in South Carolina.
Many of those individuals are undocumented, but people argue they're not all criminals.
The Charleston County Sheriff's Office, SLED, and Homeland Security investigations shut down the...
Charleston just witnessed one of the largest federal raids in South Carolina's history. Before sunrise, federal agents stormed an underground nightclub known as El Alamo VIP, arresting 72 illegal aliens tied to weapons, narcotics, and human trafficking crimes. The club sat hidden along Highway 78 in Somerville and, according to investigators, was controlled by a ranking member of the Los Zetas cartel, now operating under the name Cartel del Noreste, CDN. What began as a noise complaint quickly turned into a full-scale federal strike. The target, El Alamo VIP, was more than a nightclub. Agents say it was a command point for drug sales, cash laundering, and migrant exploitation. Its suspected owner is believed to be a senior affiliate of the cartel, which was formally designated a terrorist organization earlier this year. Every weekend, hundreds of undocumented workers filled the club. Some came willingly for work or entertainment. Others, including minors, were forced into labor and trafficking. The raid was not spontaneous. It followed an 8-month investigation led by ICE's Homeland Security Investigations Unit, assisted by FBI analysts and local law enforcement. The operation, codenamed Last Stand, was built through surveillance, phone intercepts, and undercover work inside the club's supply chain. Agents documented drug transactions, cash deliveries, and weapons being moved through the building. When federal command approved the takedown, over 60 officers from multiple agencies were placed on standby. At about 3 o'clock in the morning helicopters circled overhead while SWAT and K-9 teams surrounded the building. Tactical units breached both the front and rear entrances simultaneously. Inside, the music stopped, lights flashed, and the dance floor erupted into confusion. Armed officers ordered everyone to the ground. Suspects tried to flee through hidden exits, but all routes were blocked. Within minutes, El Alamo VIP was secured. Officials later described what they found as shocking. Hidden behind the strobe lights and loud music was a fully organized criminal hub. There were drugs stacked in back rooms, guns tucked behind DJ booths, and cash counted in plain view. Federal commanders said it was the clearest example yet of a cartel footprint inside a U.S. entertainment venue. The raid revealed how Los Zetas had adapted, shifting from cross-border smuggling to domestic operations hidden in nightlife businesses. By sunrise, 72 suspects were detained, and the property was sealed off under federal warrant. Agents confirmed that several of those arrested carried foreign criminal records and outstanding warrants.
Selling drugs, human trafficking, I don't care what it is. If you're involved in illegal activity in Charleston County, I can assure you there's no place to hide. Again, we have a great team, great support behind us, and we support them.
What started as a small South Carolina investigation had exposed an international network that reached from Mexico to the American Southeast. Federal officials confirmed 72 arrests from the El Alamo VIP raid. Among those taken into custody were 2 suspected cartel members, several repeat offenders, and 1 fugitive wanted for murder in Honduras. The high-profile detainee, Sergio Joel Gallo Baca, carried an active Interpol Red Notice for homicide and had been hiding in the United States under a false name. 6 juveniles were also rescued from the club, along with multiple women identified as trafficking victims. They were moved to protective custody under federal care. Authorities said that nearly all 200 people inside the club were undocumented, and every person was processed on scene for identification and legal status. Agents called the strike a complete success. No officers injured, no suspects escaped, and every major target captured. Inside the building, agents discovered what they described as a mini cartel base. Stacks of cash, narcotics, and loaded firearms were scattered throughout the premises. A security guard, 44-year-old Tyrone Lawson, was caught selling cocaine and methamphetamine while carrying 2 pistols. Investigators found rifles hidden behind DJ equipment, bags of psilocybin and pills stored in storage rooms, and large quantities of alcohol being sold without a license. The club's walls had been reinforced, and several doors were designed as escape passages leading to alleys behind the building. Federal technicians used thermal cameras to locate hidden compartments under the dance floor, where money and drugs were stored in plastic containers. Outside, agents seized vehicles loaded with ammunition and forged identification cards. The evidence, officials said, showed a full-scale criminal business operating behind a nightclub sign. The operation was led by ICE's Homeland Security Investigations Office in Charlotte, with backup from the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, the Charleston County Sheriff's Office, ATF, and U.S. Marshals. Helicopters provided aerial support while tactical teams sealed nearby streets to prevent escape. DHS officials later called it one of the cleanest multi-agency raids in recent memory, crediting precise coordination and months of undercover infiltration. Federal agents said the success of the strike proved how critical interagency cooperation has become in fighting transnational cartels that hide inside civilian areas. Investigators believe the El Alamo VIP nightclub functioned as an American outpost for Los Zetas, now known as Cartel del Noreste. The group is considered one of Mexico's most violent organizations, known for kidnapping, drug trafficking, and assassinations. Analysts say the cartel has been expanding into U.S. cities by using front businesses to launder money and recruit couriers. Evidence gathered in Charleston matched financial patterns seen in Texas, Georgia, and Florida, where similar after-party hubs have been uncovered. Federal intelligence units now believe CDN operatives use entertainment venues as dual-purpose fronts, social gatherings by day, smuggling and recruitment by night. Agents warned that the Charleston takedown may only reveal one branch of a much wider network still operating across the American South. Federal officials praised the South Carolina raid as a major victory in the fight against transnational crime. DHS leadership said the operation proved that cartel-linked activity inside the United States will be met with swift and decisive enforcement. Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin stated that, under President Trump and Secretary Noem, fugitives and traffickers are on notice. Leave now or ICE will find you. Agents described the Charleston strike as a direct warning to foreign criminal networks that believe they can operate freely under the cover of nightlife and local business. ICE leaders said this was not just a drug bust, but a dismantling of a cartel structure working deep inside American borders. Every arrest, they said, represented a person freed from exploitation and a channel of cartel money cut off. According to DHS, the operation was built on intelligence gathered from informants and undercover sources who risked their safety to expose the network. Federal commanders credited those efforts with preventing what they called a dangerous foothold of organized crime in South Carolina. The reaction across Charleston was immediate. Local leaders praised the arrests, but admitted shock at the scale of cartel activity uncovered in their own community. Residents in Somerville said they had heard rumors for years about the nightclub, but never imagined the operation was connected to a foreign cartel. Many described a sense of relief that the site had been shut down, calling the raid a cleanup long overdue. Others worried that innocent workers might have been caught in the sweep, but state officials defended the operation, confirming that every person detained was screened and identified through federal databases. Civil rights groups asked for transparency in how detainees would be processed, but most public sentiment favored the crackdown. Law enforcement agencies across the state have since reported new cooperation requests from communities wanting similar investigations into suspected trafficking hubs. Local police say the raid opened the public's eyes to how far cartel influence has spread beyond the southern border. Federal prosecutors in South Carolina are now preparing charges ranging from trafficking and weapons violations to re-entry after deportation. The property known as El Alamo VIP remains sealed as a federal crime scene, and investigators continue to trace the financial trail tied to cartel accounts. Officials said more arrests are expected as they process evidence, including phone data and recovered bank records. DHS emphasized that the Charleston raid marks a new phase in America's war against transnational cartels. What once seemed like a border problem has now moved deep into U.S. neighborhoods, hidden inside warehouses, motels, and nightclubs like El Alamo VIP. For federal agents, this was not an isolated event. It was a warning. These networks may change names and hide behind lights, music, and false business fronts, but they will be found. Charleston's takedown, they said, is not the end. It is the beginning of a wider national purge. Federal command made the message simple and clear. No cartel, no trafficker, and no fugitive will be beyond reach.